Hey, good morning. It is Robert Phoenix, and it is the 25th of February, and just one day, a few hours removed from last night's live cast on from the 11th House channel, and it was a pretty cool time. We were jamming for about 2.5 hours, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of information. And here we are. It's Monday. I'm going to do kind of a blitzkrieg today because there's a lot to cover and get through and all sorts of other goodies. But I'll wait for a few people to show up here. We got 9 compadres. Yeah, a little bit of a thing there to deal with that, whatever that is. Hey, good morning. FFUP77. F up. 77, what's going on? Hello, Judy. Good morning to you. Yes, there's Anna. Hi, Anna. There's Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, what's happening? Got to get my money tree in the shot right over there. You see that? That was a gift. Sticky Marks, missed you. Emmy Jones is brilliant. Annie, how are you, Chief? Good. Mom is doing great. Hi, Lisa Dawn. Good morning. My mom is doing great. She's really rebounding very nicely. Hello, Paulette. Nice to see you as well. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit as people are beginning to assemble here. Yeah, the interview with Michael Jones was quite something. He didn't pull any punches, and he pushed a lot of buttons and some very interesting comments on that interview as well. So, hey, what's going on, Edgardo? Michael has some very charged material, but I think it's important whether or not you agree with him. And I don't agree with everything Michael says. Good morning, Rhonda. But I respect his intellect, and I respect his ability to source history, both religious history, Catholic history, and not more importantly, but I think in equal measure, modern history. And he knows what's going on the geopolitical level. And he can define it hi, Shari. He can define it in terms that are kind of absolute. He probably won't mind me digging this, or he won't dig this, but he's a Taurus. He's born on May 5th. When you deal with a fixed sign, you're going to have fixed attitudes and fixed beliefs and fixed ideas. That's okay. I mean, not everybody has to, be able to be fluid and move from one thing to the other. I mean, we live in a tapestry of ideas and identities and perspectives, and Michael certainly has one of them. And I think it really bears witnessing. And you can take some of it in and work with it or reject it outright. It's up to you, right? Epsom salts in her bath, but she can't do that quite yet. Mom can't do it quite yet. She's got stitches on. She can't completely submerge that knee quite yet. But I think that might happen, although she has flat out told me she is not a bath person and was very clear to she made that very clear when I was back there. So, but yeah, under those circumstances and other circumstances, I'd say yes. The Oscars happened last night. I didn't watch them. I was too busy doing my thing, and they had no host, which was probably a pretty good thing. I mean, I think there was one other time in Oscar history where they didn't have a host. And I think the Green Book, Green Letter? I think it's the Green Book. I think the Green Book won Best Picture, much to the consternation of Spike Lee, who stormed out of the Oscars with his pissy attitude because his film, Black Klansman, did not win, therefore denying him the opportunity to go on stage and rage. So, there we go. Bicarb soda in a paste, apply topically to stitches. Yes, I like that. That's a good idea. Hi, Beth. So, yeah, Spike Lee had a hissy fit. because his picture did not win. It's been a bad week for the political identitarians and social democrats. It's been a bad week, and one has to wonder what's going on beneath the surface. Let's just recap some of what's happened over the course of just the last week. Well, first of all, we had the Jussie Smollett affair. Now Jussie has went out and hired three very powerful, very expensive attorneys, and he's also hired a management crisis team or crisis management team. So, hey, there's Suze. Hey, everybody wish Suze a happy birthday. It's her birthday today. Miss Sophia's Emporium. She shares George Harrison's birthday. Wish her a nice little happy birthday. Happy birthday, Suze. I think she's 30. She turns 30 today. So Jussie has hired a very expensive team. And this is a guy who has claimed that the reason why he did this perfidious little stunt was because he wanted to make more money. Well, that's not really, if that's the case, then how can he afford to hire this high-powered team of lawyers and a management crisis team? I wonder where he's getting his money from, and why are they so invested in defending Jussie Smollett? Why can't Jussie simply just admit the truth? Well, maybe because if there is some form of trial, and I think they need to be careful here, that there may be things that may come through that trial, out of that trial, there may be disclosure that perhaps Jussie and his handlers don't want people to get a hold of. That's what I think. That's my sense. Okay. But they're going to go to trial anyway. They're going to fight this, and he's got more evidence. Oh, great. I can't wait to see what it is. In any case, it was a total fail for Jussie Smollett, identity politics. And guess what it stirred up? It stirred up everybody looking at hate hoaxes. Everybody looking at hate crime hoaxes, and there are a plethora of them, and I've covered them before. One of the ones that I banged a drum on was this guy in New York City who was arrested after he shot himself while cleaning one of his guns. And it's one of these events that's been pretty much scrubbed. But essentially what he was doing is he was spray painting all this, anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, hateful, screeds and aerosol diatribes, and they went into his place because the super of the building heard the gunshots, and he went in there and he found a freaking arsenal of all these guns, and he found all the spray paint, and the cops came, and the guy said he was a member of the Mossad. He said he was a member of the Mossad. He was, I don't know. I don't think the Mossad would really say that, but this is what came out. So to me, this is clearly like that is like a branding. It's like a brand, right? It's like, look, this is what happens. And there was this one guy in Israel who was making all these calls to, all these places like the Jewish community centers and all kinds of BS, and threatening them. Oh, the calls were originating from Israel, but it's not just this stuff it's rampant. LeBron James's place, somebody spray painted the N-word on LeBron James' place. This is an age where there are cameras everywhere. In fact, if you look at how they figured out that it was the Nigerian brothers, they had cameras everywhere. It was like they had cameras in the hardware store, them buying all the stuff. They had cameras of them walking down the street. There are cameras everywhere. We live in a panoptical society. And that's something really important to remember, that basically if you're living in an urban environment, and even to some extent a suburban environment, right, you are going to be tagged. You are on camera. And it's very easy to trace your whereabouts and what you've been doing through any number of means. Through the cameras, either cameras at street lights, stoplights, cameras in stores, cameras that are mounted on the outsides of buildings, receipts, cell phone records, tracking you via your cell phone. All that stuff can happen and does. So, I mean, that's one thing that we can pull away from the Smollet case is that we are on camera 24/7. If that's the case, pretty much 24/7, we're not 24/7 when we leave even when we're in our homes. I mean, who knows what's going on in our homes with the smart TVs, the cell phones, and all this bullshit that Apple and Google are pulling and listening to your conversations. So yeah, it could be a 24/7 affair. Okay. So anyway, you would think that with all those cameras, and especially at LeBron James's house, do you think that there's not cameras there? There's video everywhere? Of course there is. Do you think that there would not be a way to track somebody who went there and spray painted that word? Of course there is. But that was never solved. And clearly LeBron James has made a platform out of this debate around race and social identity. And it is fizzling now. It is beginning to fizzle. And Jussie Smollett, thank you so much for doing what you did. You may not realize, but you've been a force for cohesion and unity and truth through your complete and utter obsequious, narcissistic, and more than likely generated actions. Jussie Smollett was told to do that. Jussie Smollett has handlers, okay? Handlers. Like, trust me, he's got them. And he was told to do that because Jussie's in the game. And when you're told to do something, it's like a mob. It's like a crime. It's like a crime family. It's like, okay, you got to go out and do a hit, or you got to pull this job, or you got to pull that job. This is what you've got to do. This is what happens. And so he was told to do that. Now, the question is, who told him to do that? Was it Kamala Harris? Was it Barack Obama? Was it Michelle Obama? Was it Valerie Jarrett? Was it Cory Booker? Was it an amalgam of all of them? He didn't act alone, okay? He did not act alone. He was given orders. And it's all blown up. It is all blown up. So that's one thing. Now, here's what's interesting. I talked about this last night, in case you missed last night's show. Whoa. Computer is falling. In case you missed last night's show, one of the things that is interesting is that Kim Foxx, Foxx, Kim Foxx, who is the – why is this happening? It's my new computer. It's sliding off my stand here. Kim Foxx, who is the Attorney General for the state of Illinois, recused herself from the Smollett investigation. Okay, so she recused herself. Now, guess what Kim Foxx did? Just days after that, she filed charges against R. Kelly. And R. Kelly has been, picking up these young girls and basically, practicing forms of mind control on these young girls while he, pleasures himself. And he's got about 4 or 5 of them around. He probably passes them off to his buddies and shit like that. This R. Kelly stuff has been going on for a long time. And I told the story once before. I'll tell it again. Long time ago, back around 2000 and I think 2003, right around there. I was in LA and I was hanging out with this friend of mine who was close to James Brown and James Brown's people. In fact, I was supposed to go see James Brown play at the Greek Theater there. And it was one of those shows where I wish I would have gone. I wish I would have because I had never seen James Brown before. It wasn't long after that James Brown was going to pass away. Anyway, she introduced me to James Brown's people. And so I sat in the lobby and I talked to him. And we talked about R. Kelly. Remember, this is 2003, okay? And he told me how R. Kelly was set up by one of his rivals. And they got R. Kelly hooked on young girls. That was the plan, because R. Kelly, I think, had stolen his girlfriend or something like that. So he basically did something very Machiavellian and turned R. Kelly out. And this is somebody that I talked to from James Brown's camp a long time ago, 2003. So do the math now. Okay, this has been going on since 2003 and even before 2003. We're 2019, 16 years. Why is this happening now? Why is Kim Foxx bringing this up now? Well, she's bringing it up now because she's got to look good, right? She cannot. It's like she's just recused herself from the Jussie Smollett case because of conflict of interest. Why? Because she knows Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris helped her get elected in the state of Illinois, and conversely, she worked on Kamala Harris's campaign. So she's too close to that third rail. She's got to recuse herself. But in the meantime, she'll fish around and she'll go after some dirty, smelly R. Kelly material. And I'm not saying that, R. Kelly probably doesn't need to be, reined in, because what's happening is he's going after these young girls, and parents are losing their young women, 14, 15, 16 years of age, to R. Kelly. Interesting side note, R. Kelly lives in Atlanta. Some of the women, I believe, are from Illinois and Chicago, which is why the case is being tried in Chicago. But one of the places where R. Kelly did most of his dastardly deeds, and they're really, they've got video on this guy, okay? They have video, high-quality video, and they have to watch this stuff and catalog what's happening on this video. So R. Kelly did most of his dirty deeds at Trump Tower in New York City. Now, I'm not saying that because he did it at Trump Tower that Donald Trump is involved. It's just an interesting sidelight to this whole three-ring circus, which also now includes Robert Kraft, who is a friend of Donald Trump. And Robert Kraft was busted on Friday for solicitation of prostitutes at the Shady Oasis? Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. Hold on, where is it? Orchids of Asia. Orchids of Asia. That's Shady Oasis is probably a better name, right? Anyway, Orchids of Asia. Talked about this last night on the live stream. Robert Kraft got busted. They've got him on tape. They have him on video. They have video in this place. Hi, honey. They have video. They've got him nailed. It's like, and it is probably not very flattering video. He's probably going to have to sit there. Now, he doesn't have to go to, he doesn't have to sit there. His lawyer will watch it. He has to. The lawyer will have to watch it. They'll never look at Bob Kraft in the same way again, I guarantee you. So, anyway, they got video on the guy. Bob Kraft on Friday, busted. Now, it's like, so he got a rub and a tug. Oh, I found this website, by the way. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting website. There's a website that actually has a map. I don't have it here. It's like a guide to all the rub and tug massage parlors in the country. You can subscribe to this thing, believe it or not. And Asia, Orchids of Asia was on there. Because I was looking for pictures of this, and there it was, like, oh, interesting. So, think of that now. There's a website that promotes rub and tugs, okay? And that's the place that Bob Kraft went to, along with John Childs and the Havens, the Havens of Children. Anyway, but you're Robert Kraft, and you're going to a place that's like on the circuit, okay? On the frickin' circuit. This is what money and arrogance will do to your life. You just think you're untouchable, right? You'll just go to this place and say, oh, okay, yeah, so what? It might be on the rub and tug circuit. I don't really care, because I have so much money, so much power, that if I get busted, I know friends, I know people, I have friends in high places, my money will take care of it. Well, it hasn't. It didn't. I got into some of the astrological stuff around that last night. So there we go. Now, Robert Kraft is on the theoretical right. Jussie Smollett on the theoretical left. So now we're seeing both sides start to get picked off a little bit here. It's like, what's going on now? Something interesting is taking place. And then we see what's happening with Jeffrey Epstein being resurrected once again to kind of face the charges and face the fact that he too has been involved in his own version of trafficking, because that's really what's behind the Robert Kraft stuff, is the trafficking, right? That is the trafficking. piece of it. I mean, young girls who are forced to stay at this place and forced to do things that are they don't really want to do, but they're there. They don't have passports. They live there. I mean, it's a bad scene. It's a totally bad scene, and that's where it gets sticky for Mr. Kraft and the NFL. So it wasn't once; it was twice. And he's got some dues to pay around that. He's scheduled to go to Florida today, although he'll probably, I don't know. He probably has to go and surrender. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to set foot in the state of Florida again. What is it with Florida? Florida is weird. There's weird vibes. There's weird juju in Florida. Lonnie, you live in Florida. What's up? What's up with that? What's up with Florida? Jim Morrison got busted in Florida. Parkland is in Florida. David Hogg lives in Florida. I mean, I can list. It's like Florida and Chicago. Florida and Chicago. Those are the places of interest. Weird places of interest. So that's going on. There's a hell of a lot going on right now. Big stuff. We got a failed coup in Venezuela. That's not going so well. That's like, I guess Richard Branson had some kind of a concert, some kind of an aid concert. I mean, they're pulling out all the stops. You've got Bernie Sanders, who's kind of backing, this transition from Maduro to Guaido. And Guaido is he's no savior. He's no knight in shining armor. Guaido's got a very intense past. Guaido was part of a counter-revolutionary movement in Venezuela that had their own death squads, and they actually crucified people, okay? This is the guy who's supposed to be the good guy in all this. And he's really not. He's a CIA cutout, a Freemason. And we know for a fact that there's a coup going on, and really what we're seeing here and what we're witnessing is the fact that they want to flip Venezuela. They want to get Venezuela back into whatever this version of capitalism that they're promoting is now. And they being and I'm gonna be very clear and upfront, the Zionist controlled government, ZCG, which is what we're dealing with now. They want to go in and they want to own South America. They want to own South America. They've got Bolsonaro in Brazil. He is totally loyal to the Zionist cause. I think, is it Kirchner in the president of Argentina? Very close. We've had a huge amount of settlements recently in the last decade in southern Argentina, people relocating from Israel to southern Argentina. And now they want to get into Venezuela. So the action in the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East is shutting down, okay? Trump is getting troops out of Syria, theoretically. There's going to be about 200 of them left. Getting them out of Afghanistan. Why? Because the new front is South America. Now, remember when we went through this Saturn cycle in Capricorn, which was roughly 1988, 89, 90, right? That 3-year cycle, that's when the world changed. That's when all these borders got sliced and diced and then reformatted, mostly behind the Iron Curtain. But there were big changes also taking place in China as well in terms of the system. McDonald's put a franchise in China during the last Saturn cycle in Capricorn. Okay, so there's like stuff going on. Now, is South America going to be the next place where we see the geopolitical map change? Is the United States? It's already happening in the United States. I mean, there's out revolts by certain states. Clearly, California is running its own program and doing its own thing. So we're living in a very, very interesting time. Very interesting time. And the thing that really concerns me probably more than anything is the fact that just over the last week, 2 weeks, we've seen a couple of things really ramp up. One is the Space Force deal with Trump, which I've not gotten into, and I don't feel qualified enough to talk about that. I'd like to have a discussion with somebody, get into this idea of Space Force. It sounds like one of those you know, Captain Scarlet kinds of shows from the 1960s. Fireball XL5, Captain Scarlet, the Mistrons, right? Those shows that the Jerry and BB Anderson, you know, those little pups. Space Force, it's Space Force, starring President Trump, Commander in Chief of the Galaxy. Right? I mean, that's what it feels like. Anyway, but there's a lot happening, and the last couple of weeks we had ramping up of 5G. They're like, bring on 5G, bring on 6G. Let's make a concerted effort to ramp up with AI. All this is like, I mean, it was just like somebody pressed the go button. Bang, go, make it happen, right? Make it happen. All right, here we go. We're going to make it happen. Something's changed. Something has shifted. Something has shifted. The other thing Trump has done, like in the last week or so, he's gone on this kind of global mission to make sure that like gay rights are recognized by the entire planet. You know, it's like turned into some sort of like crusade for gay rights. This is all recent, like in the last week. So this is very, you know, if you're a Trump supporter and you're one of the people who are from Middle America and you're seeing what's happening now, and you're looking at, oh, well, geez, what is he doing with all this gay stuff? What's that all about? Oh, you know, he's going to get that wall up. It's okay. He's making a deal. He's a deal maker. He's going to get that wall up. Okay. 5G. You know, some people are clueless around 5G. Oh, 5G. Yeah, you got to compete with the Chinese, so you may not lose them there. But if you're a Trump supporter, you've got to kind of think, like, what's going on with this guy? You know what is he doing now? If you're a Q naught, you or a member of the Q cult, you'll say, "Oh, trust the plan, right? Keep your friends close, your enemies closer." The problem is with that philosophy is he's wading deeper and deeper and deeper into the swamp. Now, that's not to say that there aren't things happening. There are things happening. But they may not be happening for the reasons that you may understand or want to believe. First of all, the Mueller investigation is over. It's done. It's done. That thing is going to get shut down like yesterday. Okay, it's done, and nothing is going to come out of the Russia investigation. They may get Manafort to do a little more time. Who knows what's going to happen to Roger Stone? It's done. Nothing's going to happen to Hillary. Nothing's going to happen to Bill. Nothing's going to happen to the Bushes. What you may see is some blowback on the social Marxist side. You may see some blowback on that. That could happen. We're starting to see a little bit of that, but it's done. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new game in town, and it is Trump who is clearly aligned with the Zionists in Israel. And I say Zionists, okay? It's important to note that because not everybody in Israel is a Zionist. Not everybody in Israel, not every member of the Jewish faith is a Zionist. There are, quote unquote, non-Jews who are Zionists. Joe Biden has said he's a Zionist. There are Christians here in Texas, probably this town that I'm transmitting from, who are Zionists. It's an ideology. It is an ideology that is piggybacking on Jewish religious and national identity. Zionist is a nationalist identity, which fits in line with what Trump is doing. Okay, so what's happening now is in France, you are not just scolded, like you can do jail time in France if you speak out against the quote unquote, so-called Jewish people. Okay, you do jail time. But now, after that, if you spoke out against Zionism, you could do that because it was a political discourse. It was allowed. But they're changing. They want to change the laws in France now where you can't even speak about Zionism in a critical fashion. You could go to jail. You could be imprisoned. So do you see what's happening here? They're tightening the clamps. And look, insert any ism. I don't care. It could be, let's say, Confucianism. was running rampant, and Confucianism was in charge of sort of, creating a new version of a global world order, there would be just an ism. And, if you got hip to say, well, what's up with this ism? This ism is not a great ism. I'm not into this ism. So it's like, oh, well, you get enough people speaking out against the ism, then all of a sudden we've got to control the debate, the narrative and the debate around the ism. It just doesn't matter what it is. But clearly this is the one. This is the one that's happening and has big implications, really big implications. Because ultimately it comes down to the building of this temple, the third temple in Jerusalem. That's the big one. That is the biggie. That is the big piece here, boys and girls. So if that gets built, okay, we are now tripping off of this synthetic prophecy that was created that has actually no validity, no original source code in the original Bible. It was brought in by basically two charlatans, John Nelson Darby and Cyrus Schofield. Okay, these are the ones that created this idea of the rapture and all the hullabaloo that goes along with it. Okay, so but when that happens, it sets off a series of events that some people take very seriously. Okay, very seriously, and that's coming. Right, that's what Jared Kushner is working on right now as we speak. He's working on a peace plan. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Jordanians that actually have control over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that it's going to cede to the Saudis. And of course, there's a very tight relationship with Jared Kushner and bin Salman. They're millennial bros, right? So they've got a tight relationship. Something big is going to happen in that region. And once it starts to take off, just watch what happens. It's a game changer. All right. It's a total game changer. But, forewarned is forearmed. And there are illusions. It's funny. I've had these thoughts in my head, and I've talked about this for a while now. And I was listening to, who was it? This guy, Tom Horn. And his buddy, the other guy, I forget his name now. He's a pretty well-known talk show host. It'll come to me. Anyway, they were talking about this. He went into this whole kind of elaborate thing, like the days of Jared and the Bible, and he's quoting all this, this scripture. And like, dude, he's saying, yes, I believe that Jared Kushner fulfills the prophecy of the Antichrist. And I'm like, dude, it's like I was there, 2 years ago. Okay, I was there 2 years ago, and now and this guy Tom Horn has done some really good research. What's the guy's name? You know his name. Come on, he's popular. He does the stuff with the Giants. He's really into the Giants stuff. I'm not talking San Francisco Giants. Anyway. Keep your eye on that. That's the big ticket item right there. But in the meantime, what's happening, and this is based on, what we talked about on Friday with Michael. No, it's not L.A. Marzulli. What's his name? Damn it. It's going to come to me. He's very popular. Very, very popular. He was on with Tom Horn the other night. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Oh, Logos. Logos. We were talking about this on Friday's show with Michael. And it's like Logos is happening, boys and girls. We're seeing it in action. We're seeing it in action. And the truth is going to be revealed. It's happening. It's happening. So really what that's a signal for, get clear with your own life. That's really important. Really, really, really important. Okay? Get clear with your own life to the best of your ability. Because where we're headed, you're going to have to be. If you've got any dark corners, anything that's unresolved, you just do your best. Work with it. Quayle, Steve Quayle, thank you. Thank you, Laguna Pat. Steve Quayle, absolutely. Thank you. It was Steve Quayle and Tom Horn. So I was listening. I'm listening to this. I'm like, yeah, I know this. This is, come on now. But I guess it has more factual import when you bring scripture into it. Yes, absolutely. Maury says, I mentioned that interview in a Zoom chat of some 60 people. Just says the logos thing is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's funny, people ask me, I was asked a question, what do you think Michael thinks about astrology? I said, probably doesn't dig it. Nobody in the religious world, digs astrology. They don't, although who knows, maybe some of the Kabbalists do. Let's see, what do we have here? Justice said David Icke had his visa revoked in Australia this week prior to his speaking tour. Yeah, I didn't know that. Creepy Joe Biden, such a good nickname. I don't know who made it up, but they're awesome. Yeah, I think Biden will probably wind up being the nominee. That's my sense, even though he's not going to get the seal of approval from the Obamas. Sticky Mark says Logos is needed to make a comeback. Yay, Kushner, lobotomy prefrontal if possible. Come on, God. So somebody's got to put the thing with Jared Kushner is really interesting because he was under investigation a couple of times for his security clearance, and his security clearance was like going to be revoked. And I don't know who pushed it through. I don't know who got it over the top, but he was able to keep a security clearance. And everybody inside of the Trump administration has been scrutinized. Pretty much everybody. Rod Rosenstein was scrutinized. But Jared Kushner, he manages to get the hall pass, right? Yeah, get the hall pass. Let's see what else we have here. We, the old hippies, have been watching AIPAC hijack. Absolutely, man. Walton Mearsheimer wrote the definitive book on AIPAC in the early 2000s, and they've still been. These guys are, they're legit professors. University of Chicago, and I think and I think Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, these guys are totally legit, and they wrote the book on AIPAC and the influence of AIPAC. It was back in 2005 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, right? So it's out there. The information is out there, and to refute it is ridiculous. But we're in a period of time now where censorship is getting thicker and thicker. So what's happening? Ultimately, is that I think Israel is a limited hang. That's what I think. I think Israel's a limited hang. I think it was created for a specific purpose in 1948, and at some point they'll move on from it. They being the Zionists, who are now occupying the Israeli government, they'll be associated with it. But it's a limited hang, and who knows what they're going to do with it? Maybe they can, zap it, blow it up. But ultimately, I think that it's not meant for long-term occupation. The base of operations is going to move elsewhere. Probably already has. Okay. Doesn't the Vatican have an astrologer? Yes, they do. They have, yes, and they have a telescope that is named Lucifer. Yes, which gazes up into the firmament. That's exactly what it does. Anything else? We've got Sticky Marks also says Kushner needs a lobotomy. Golan Heights oil for sale. Ingenie are ill. Use their alias Rothschild or Genie. Yeah, no doubt. What else? Anything else here? Anything else? We got the Steve Quayle thing. I think we're covered, right? I think we're covered. Yeah. So tomorrow, hey, come over to robertphoenix.com. Come over to robertphoenix.com because this is where this is going to happen tomorrow. All right, just be there. We'll be set up. We'll be ready to go. And what I'll probably do for a few days is I'll stream simultaneously because I can do that. I have unique powers now that have been granted to me. So I'll stream simultaneously from my website over to YouTube. Okay, but it will start and originate in my website. So this is where all this is headed, and tomorrow is the coronation day. Okay? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. You've been listening to 15 Minutes of Flame. I'm Robert Phoenix, and you know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to discern what's possible. If you haven't signed up for my webinar on Mars, go to my website and do it. It'll happen on Saturday. It's 3.5 hours from 12 noon to 3:30 Central Standard Time. Take good care. Bye for now.